You are listening to the Martial Arts Lifestyle Podcast, where each week we have a conversation with everyday martial arts practitioners. From the first motivation to train, martial arts enriches our lives and becomes a lifestyle. Welcome to the individual stories of those martial artists living that lifestyle. You are listening to the abbreviated version. For those of you checking this out on YouTube, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. Full-length versions of this podcast can be subscribed to at our Patreon page, is www.patreon.com/malmag. Or individual full-length episodes can be purchased at our Gumroad page at malmag.gumroad.com. Before we begin this week's program, I would like to remind you to check out martialartslifestylemagazine.com to see articles on the martial arts. Click on the Store tab to find products for the practice of Southeast Asian martial arts, featuring Timmy B's brand sticks. Check out the Courses tab, currently featuring a course on the Dos Manos method of the Filipino martial arts. Also check out our Places to Train page, featuring top quality martial art academies from around the world. And of course, check out our events page for seminars and events coming up around the world. To see your school listed in our Places to Train page or your event on our events calendar, contact us at malmagonline@gmail.com. This week, I get on Zoom and I connect to Seattle and I talk to my old friend Ryan Teal. This is his third time on the show. We talk about his recent fight in Cambodia, the art of Krabi Krabong as taught in Los Angeles, programs for kids in the martial arts, and the future of multiple discipline martial art camps, and much more. Sit back and enjoy. Welcome to the Martial Arts Lifestyle Podcast, and today I've got someone back for the third time, and that's because I like talking to this guy. That's one reason why. I got a few people I really like to pick on a bit. The reason why I wanted to get this gentleman back is because he recently had a amazing experience of going to Cambodia and competing, and being that Cambodian is part of his family background, and he's taken a deep dive into that. So I really think it'd be kind of cool to get him to talk about this experience while it's fresh on his mind. So Ryan Teal, welcome back to the show. And let's
howdy.
Let's talk a bit about this experience that you just had in Cambodia. I mean, awesome. Talk about a place that's high on my list of places I need to go.
That's right. So you've never been to Southeast Asia yet, right?
I've been to the Philippines, but I've not been to that part of Southeast Asia where we would find Thailand and Cambodia and Laos and Myanmar. And it's like, I've got so much connection now to four, I guess, if we call Krabi Krabong a separate art. So I've got a very strong connection to four martial arts on that peninsula that I need to probably get there and be face to face with.
Right. And you said Krabi Krabong. Who I know that up here in the Pacific Northwest we have Ajahn Steve Wilson that works closely with Ajahn Chai, and I was just curious who helps down on the south end in California with Krabi Krabong.
Well, believe it or not, Ajahn Dan Inosanto is been trained by probably 6-7 different Krabi Krabong instructors, and
of course,
I've been spending, I've fortunately spent a lot of time with Dr. Mark Cheng, who's a dear friend of mine, and he spent a lot of time with Colonel Natapong. So I would say probably my Krabi is a deeper dive in the Colonel Natapong system than the other stuff. But it's a mix. Yeah. And so I like it. I mean, especially as a big guy who just, hey, you're going to get some big, sharp, heavy things and swing them at people. I'm like, yeah, that's me. Perfect.
That sounds right up your alley. Yeah. Just remind me, your family is, you're a big dude. So you're German or Norse or?
Yeah, I'm okay. Here's a funny thing about me. This is a really interesting story. So my family name is quite obviously German. I mean, it's most German such an old school German spelling that the Germans don't even use that spelling for the name anymore. And apparently, so Becherer, Becker, as you would say my name, that spelling means someone who's a drunk, apparently.
Oh, Becker.
Yeah, so it's a slang word. It's not, and even now, like if you go more recently, there was a famous tennis player in the 80s, Boris Becker, and his name was spelled Becker. so more Anglified, and he was German.
Oh,
So they've pretty much
I see. I see.
Americanized that spelling even themselves. So,
Mm,
but in reality, my mother was adopted, and so was my father. So
hmm.
genetically, past them, I don't know what I am, and then with them being
Right.
adopted, they don't know what they are. Honestly, either. Well, and they both passed away, so I don't even know. I mean, bar spitting into one of those tubes and sending into one of these
Oh,
things that go on, and I don't know how much of that I trust or not, but
right.
um, it was like one of those things where I was asking, I think, a friend of mine. They were both from Illinois, so I was gonna see that in the state of Illinois, if it's possible
Hmm.
for me as their child to be able to petition to open their original birth certificate and see who their parents were. I might not be able to do that. They would have been able to
Mm,
probably do that as an adult, but I don't. I may or may not. That law is different, I think, in all 50 states. So
mm.
I'll probably just get with someone who's a little more familiar with family law in Illinois and see if that's a possibility. If not, I can maybe go the route of one of those things where you send your DNA in and then it'll alert you if there's relatives and stuff out there. Because I don't know. I've looked at the methodology at those things and I'm not 100% convinced where it was like, oh, here's the exact markers of whatever. It's more like, well, we've had 100,000 people in the database who say they're Italian and you match them. And I'm like, well, that's not, yeah, okay, that's not an exact science. That's just saying that I match a bunch of other people who say they are. That doesn't mean anything. What if they're wrong?
Right. And that's
Yeah,
the thing
so
is, even if we were to track those markers, like how could I explain this? It's hard to say exactly how, if you say they're X percentage of this, X percentage of that, but is that
right.
because there's certain genetic markers that are found that way, or is that genetic? So, um, I guess take it with every time I see that, like, I guess take it with a grain of salt is what I hear people say.
Yeah. Well, sure. And I
But
mean genetics are one thing, but when we talk the stuff we talk about for ethnicities for the most part are cultural, not actual things within your physical body, right?
right,
Because I think about Europe, especially when people started taking these tests, they started realizing, well, I'm really a mixed bag. I'm like, yeah, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, you all live in close proximity. You had a bunch of wars. Yeah, surprise, surprise. Not to me.
yeah,
But, I think of two kids. I call them kids. Again, they're
mhm,
in their 20s or they're adults, but they're Russian. Their mom's Russian, but they're actually German. Like their family was a German migration, Jewish German. But, I mean, yeah, they go, well, we're Russian because enough back for them was Russian. They speak Russian. So it's like,
right,
okay, well, what are they? Are they Germans or are they Russians? I don't know.
right. It's like also the whole thing about Mongolians, like, are they Chinese or they're Russian? It's like, well,
Right,
they're in their own little,
right. They're their own
Eastern
thing.
European category, I suppose, or
Exactly.
it would be Western Asian. Like,
Yeah, yeah. And then, I mean, in America, where we just start mixing people and
yeah,
we're open about it, how, where you say, well, I'm half this and half that. Well, it's like, well, what does that exactly mean? It's like half. Well, I think you're blended because you're one thing, right? It's not like my left half
right,
is Irish and my right half is Italian. Like I don't think so. It's not how that works.
right. I see. Yeah, I mean,
Anyway,
it's
that's a long answer to your question. I'm sorry.
no, no, you're good. You're good. This is exactly, this is why it's fun chit-chatting with you about these kinds of things, getting context. Names are names mean a lot to some people and other people. It's
Yeah,
just something that, they were just they're just born in and like an expectation. My brother, he changed his name because he didn't like having to deal. He changed his last name because he didn't like having the same name as or actually what? Yeah, the same name as my dad because my dad, he uh, he likes to oh gosh, he has a hard time with maintaining property, and so there's
okay.
been a few times that unfavorable outcomes for housing has ended up in my brother's name, and so there's just it can be a
Oh, I
mess,
got
and
you.
so he doesn't. So yeah,
Right.
it's like a some people like to carry on the name, other people don't like, so like the same thing when
Right.
people say that you learn martial arts to protect your family, and when ultimately you're trying to protect your family, sometimes it's actually your family that you're trying to protect yourself from. There's
That's
different
true.
aspects of, family dynamics, and it's not always that people like carrying on tradition or their name. or even have
Exactly.
a drive to do that. Sometimes it's not even part of their culture. So we're just
Right.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. So
So,
well, let's jump into that thing about you going to Cambodia. So,
mhm.
you're still a relative. It's funny. You're kind of an old soul, and I don't mean that in a bad way. But I keep
Yeah.
forgetting you're actually still quite a young guy. And I'm like, man, he's
Yeah.
getting in the ring. That's a good. Well, of course you can at your age.
Yeah. Man, I mean, I'm so just for context, guys, for those who don't really know me that much, just to kind of recap a little bit so you can be up to speed with where I'm at. Also, Tim and I were just discussing a little bit before we actually officially went live about getting, involved as an Inasano instructor and an Inasano lineage. So I am a student of Sifu and Guru Andy Wilson and Kun Khmer
Who
Pradal
needs to come on
Serey.
my show, by the way?
Holler
He's
at him,
yeah,
man.
I know,
Jab
I
him.
know. I've been doing it. I think he wants to, and but I think he likes being a tease to me.
He also is like can be very bashful. He's a very honest person when it comes to giving feedback. He's very much a
Yeah.
Midwestern kind of personality where once you get to know him, you get close to him. He has a lot more things to say. He's very much a comical kind of person with old
Oh yeah.
school
This
humor.
is why I admire him a lot
Yeah.
in that. Yeah.
He really loves the 90s stuff, like the grunge era, the
Nice.
music, like he really likes that time period. So, if just for conversation starters, if you guys ever meet Andy and don't know what to start off with, that's a 90s era is usually a good conversation starter
All
for him.
right.
So, but yeah, I'm a student of Andy Wilson. I started training with him back in 2007, when I officially first started training with Sifu Andy when they were located in Greenwood, Washington. And then they moved to Northgate. And they also opened up a second studio or school or whatever you want to call it in Edmonds. So they're trying to branch out. Now they're more locally centrally located in the North Seattle area, and they have like a MKG fitness studio where they practice methods that are similar to CrossFit, where they're doing Olympic lifting and gymnastic movements and things like that for health and
Wow.
wellness. That's in a separate building, so they have kind of two different. There's one main for fitness and one made for martial arts development, and that's where you're going to get all the mixture of the Kali and the Junfan JKD. You're going to get some Savat, which is kind of right now it's taken a little bit of a on the back burner, unfortunately, just because of dynamics within the space and stuff and student interests and stuff like that. So, but obviously you have the Muay Thai there, and Andy also has been an advocate of oh gosh, what is it called? The system they used in the Batman movies.
Oh, the Kesey?
Yeah, the Casey system.
Casey.
Yeah, he loves the KC system, the practicality behind it, and the similarities between the Filipino martial arts, how the symmetries of using the elbow and close infighting. It's really
Uh-huh.
cool to him. So he's very much a JKD thinker. Despite all the politics of using the name JKD or whatever, calling it JKD, is very much an advocate of that, and he's a big scholar. He has his book collection's really big. He
Yeah.
likes to collect books and he reads a lot, so he's very punctual and he's very, very bright. So I absolutely respect him all the way up here. He's like my second dad. I was working in there. I started my internship as an assistant instructor working with the youth program in 2010, where I was helping
Nice.
out with the kids and learning about how they situated the program. They used essentially a lot of the combinations and the sets that we would get from the Jun fan, such as Ung Moon and the different basic combinations, the useful 5 count combinations. We use those for forms and stuff like that. And then we also introduced the Kali. So there's so much in the youth program that we started back in 2010, and it's continued to evolve moving forward. And I've since stepped back from teaching in the youth program as officially in 2000 and gosh, what was that? 2020? it was it was like in the middle of the pandemic. I think it was like
Okay,
2021, I think, or
sure.
20,
Yeah.
yeah, somewhere around. It was like COVID 1.2 or something, one and a
Yay.
half,
Yeah.
you know. So I
Fun
used to work with
times.
youth. So yeah, long time. Yeah, long time. And
Yeah.
so now um I'm really focusing, and there's been a myriad of experience I've had since then, working in private security as an armed guard, and then working in PT for 3 years, and now working in the community as a program coordinator for this nonprofit organization called the Cambodian American Community Council of Washington. And that has really tied me back into the Cambodian community. I've learned a lot of things actually about my family that I didn't know before. My dad's finally kind of opened up about his past experience with Khmer Rouge for the first time. And this
Wow.
has all kind of come to fruition after me coming back from my second pro bout, and I fighting internationally representing Team USA versus Team Cambodia in an international fight event that took place over 2 days, and it also included Malaysia and China. So
Wow.
huge event, lots of stuff happened, lots of growth potential moving forward, and I'm super excited. I'm still kind of surfing this wave right now of just kind of feeling the magnitude of the last essentially month of what's happened. So
That's really cool. That's
yeah.
really cool. So what I mean, obviously I think getting the last time we talked, this idea of getting in touch with your family roots was an important thing.
Mhm.
And I think the exploration of those arts, those martial arts, and that
Mhm.
culture is certainly a great step. That so, what made you say, okay, I'm going to take this a step farther, and I'm gonna get up here and I'm gonna get in the ring and bash some skulls and get my skull bashed in.
Yeah.
I say that lovingly, of course, because I mean,
100%.
yeah, I mean, because
100%.
it's a bonding thing, or it can be. I mean, you watch, it's funny now is to look at those old boxers that we knew, or I think, because I'm a bit older than you, but I think of these
Mhm.
classic boxers like Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto
Oh
Duran,
yeah.
these guys in that era, right?
Yeah.
That were like, you thought these guys
Sweet
fucking
pea.
hated each other, and they probably did at that time period. But right now, they
Yeah.
don't. They're actually very
Right.
like I see like Sugar Ray making posts all the time. Hey, give Roberto Duran some love, give Tommy Hearn some love.
Mhm.
You're just like, that's awesome. Because I think there's
Yeah.
something about a bonding of any kind of sport for that matter, but that kind of sport in particular.
Right.
And it makes me thrilled because of my connection to Omre Bond,
Yeah.
who is just a beloved teacher of mine, just a lovely person. And, knowing the Cambodian community I know down there and really understanding that uh,
Mhm.
genocide that happened at that point. It's weird to even, use this word genocide. When you hear about it, you think, okay, it's one ethnic group coming in and trying to kill another. This is one ethnic group
Right.
just trying to kill itself, weirdly.
Right.
Um, and it's just a terrible, horrible thing. And the fact that so much culture could have been lost, did get lost.
Yeah.
But the whole thing could have been lost. And this idea that hopefully now there can be some revival of it, I think is fantastic. It's
Right.
it's that those underdog stories that I think we as Americans like anyway.
Right. And so the underdog story and the connection for me to my family's originally, so my dad's side, I think is really, I mean, it is exactly that, growing up, around, I've talked about this before. I grew up around drugs and violence, as a kid. We all have different, stories, origin stories, but mine was kind of disconnected without a fatherly figure around because my dad, Papa's a Rolling Stone. You know, he he was navigating himself through the rigors after that experience and having to lose his family members in that
Right.
experience, and then his first wife and his first child, and then being a slave, and then having to run away and flee in the jungle, and then facing, the Thai on the border. We all hear about how the Thai helped, Khmer citizens get over through these camps to the States, but a lot of people also don't know the state of how some of those camps were, and even how even Thailand and in some of these locations actually gunned down many Cambodians as they were trying to cross the border. They were told to turn back around and basically uh, just shot them all as they were told to run back into the fields of the landmines. And so there's a lot of
Wow.
horror stories like that that a lot of people don't realize. And the old dynamics of, Thailand being able to take advantage of the sponsorship that, US provided for bringing people over, financial aid and stuff like that. And so there's kind of history dynamics there, but or it's a dynamic history there, but and
Yeah,
I
it
still
sucks,
don't know
right? Because
all
like
of it. I'm still
wars
learning
never
about
clean,
it, and
right? I mean, we
it
always like to think of war as like one side's good guys, one side's bad guys, and there may be, when you look at Nazi Germany, yeah, that's a bad guy, but even the United States being the good guy, there was some shit we did there, like that was pretty nasty, that was pretty gnarly. Why'd
yeah,
we do that? And it's the bottom line of that kind of stress and trauma of what war does is it turns you into an inhuman person.
right.
You're doing inhumane things to people, and
Hmm.
it'll fuck you up. And
100%.
I had
Yeah, I mean that kind of stress and trauma, the PTSD
right,
that goes with that,
and that gets
you know.
handed down generations. That was like there was a recent podcast. I'm gonna see if I can find it. I'm trying to remember what it was, and I'm gonna send it to you because I think you'd find it very interesting about how the trauma of parents goes to the kids,
Yeah,
and it's not the fault of the parent. I mean, there's nothing you can really do about it, but other than understand it and try to work with it. But this is
right,
just natural. Like your father suffered a lot of trauma in that, and that's going to now pass through,
right,
to the next generation.
right.
And so
Yeah,
it's a question of preparing to deal with that and what have you. And again, not anybody's fault. It's a sucky fucking reality, unfortunately.
yeah.
Um,
I
yeah.
think that that's a reality that all of the generations we always face is like, and this is me getting kind of really philosophical with it, but I think
See,
that we
that's what I like
always,
about your show. I can get philosophical with you. You look like a sort of very, very philosophical guy. You guys don't have the video on. He's got the long hair and the glasses and
let's
the beanie
go,
on. Like this dude
let's
is my
go.
yeah. You're my philosophical dude.
My reputation in Cambodia, they're calling me my buddies from Team USA were calling me Cambodian Jesus.
Ah, that's hilarious.
I was like, oh, please, please, please. Can I get a Hail Mary?
That's right. That's awesome.
Oh man. But no, yeah, I mean I think every person, we always are going to be facing hardships every single day, and how we're choosing to become every single day is a moment for us to embrace those past hardships and be constantly become anew, and there's that our mind's super plastic, and what we think and how we carry ourselves out in those trains of thought, how we act, and what we think when the stressors come to us. It continues to build our own understanding and narrative of who we are, what I am, what the word I means to us,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
identity, the self, the ego, and our position or our trajectory about where we're going. So every day, I think, is a challenge for us to become someone new or embody that change that we're looking to become. And the part of that also is, like you say, we also have this inherent. We also inherit. I mean, we can't change. We have the DNA. It's in our blood. It's what we're working with. So there's definitely
Right,
that part of, and this is that question of, am I destined to become a certain kind of person, or do I have choice and will to become who I want to be? And it's a little bit of both. It's
right,
understanding who you are and what you can do with it, but also ultimately who you'd like to become. And it's like that saying that Bruce Lee says is the daily hacking away at the unessentials till the truth is revealed.
right,
But honestly, if you can also put a little bit of clay back on in one part, you can move clay around and so it's not like you're always just shaving away. I think there's sometimes a misconception of what that actually means. Like it's a
yeah,
minimal, there is a minimalist aspect to that, but life is a lot more creative and dynamic and fluid than it has to be like it put in any even in like trying to approach it from one ideology, and everyone has their own choice how they want to live, but that's how for me I've been able to embrace moving back into peeling back the layers of the onion and embracing my the past hardships about me becoming my dad.
And this concludes the abbreviated version of the podcast. Please consider supporting the program by going to www.patreon.com/MALMAG and subscribing to the show. You can also purchase this individual episode or any individual episode at our Gumroad page. That's malmag.gumroad.com. Thank you for listening to this episode with Ryan Teal. Next week, I catch up with an old podcast alumni again. We get on Zoom and we talk to South Carolina, and we catch up with Mike Yuski. Our Malmag online store at martialartslifestylemagazine.com has a full selection of Timmy B's brand sticks for FMA and Krabi Bong. Timmy B's brand now selling in Japan as well. Beautiful Timmy B's brand shirts and Dos Manos shirts are available. We also have sarongs, malongs, and wooden training knives. An online course in the Dos Manos method for FMA is available under the Courses tab. More courses coming soon. Check out the Places to Train tab to find schools near you, and click on the Events Calendar page to see what seminars and events are happening all around the world. And of course, visit our main page for articles on the martial arts. Music by Arthur J. Martial Arts Lifestyle Magazine and the Martial Arts Lifestyle Podcast are trademarked and copyrighted by TNT LLC.